WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Cash Matlock. Tonight, Oxford police are looking for two men who allegedly robbed a local hotel. Take a look at these images posted to the Oxford Police Department Facebook page. Officers say the two men in these pictures allegedly walked into the Quality Inn on Jackson Avenue West in Oxford around 9:30 last night and robbed the business at gunpoint. The two men were seen driving a gray Honda Accord with a significant dent on the right rear quarter panel. If you have any information on who these men are or where they may be, please contact Lafayette County Crime Stoppers or the Oxford Police Department. A man serving a 60-year sentence at the South Mississippi Correctional Facility in Greene County has died. Mississippi Department of Corrections says 60-year-old Rodney Brown was taken by ambulance to Greene County Hospital after he fell ill in his housing area. He was pronounced dead about an hour later. MDOC says there appears to be nothing suspicious about his death. The coroner suspects natural causes and says the body has been sent for an autopsy. Brown had been in prison for almost 12 years. He pleaded guilty March 7th of 2008 to causing the deaths of two men and injuring two others on July 20th of 2006 in Perry County. He received a total of 60 years for 2 DUI deaths and 2 mayhems. The Mississippi Department of Health reports 109 new cases of COVID-19 with 12 new deaths. Mississippi's total of COVID-19 cases since March 11th now stands at more than 7,500 with 303 deaths. The number of Mississippians currently hospitalized with confirmed COVID-19 infection has risen to 458. 23 of the new cases reported today were among residents in long-term care facilities. There are now 105 active outbreaks of COVID-19 in those long-term care facilities throughout the state. Here at WCBI, we also feel that it's important to mention the number of people who have recovered from the virus. And right now, that number is presumed to be more than 3,400 within the state. The Mississippi Coronavirus Hotline is the best way to get your questions about COVID-19 answered. The hotline has new hours of operation. You can call 877-978-6453 from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. As the number of coronavirus deaths pushed past 66,000 today, people living in about a dozen states wrapped up their first weekend of partial reopenings, but large portions of the U.S. remain shuttered, and the pushback to relax stay-at-home rules continue. This as President Trump prepares to address Americans and answer questions about the economy. Nicole Killian reports from the White House.
Orange County beaches in the Golden State remain closed this weekend after images like this one from last week circulated. California's governor said there was not enough social distancing, but residents say the photos and videos are misleading, and local officials are now suing the state to get beaches reopened.
What our public safety personnel saw last weekend was that the vast majority of people were families and people social distancing.
In both Oregon and Minnesota, reopen protests were met with health workers counter-protesting. Dr. Deborah Birx with the White House Coronavirus Task Force weighed in on protesters who don't wear masks or follow social distancing guidelines.
It's devastatingly worrisome to me personally, because if they go home and infect their grandmother or their grandfather who has a comorbid condition and they have a serious or an unfortunate outcome, they will feel guilty for the rest of our lives.
But the economic pain that's driving the protests is clear to lawmakers on Capitol Hill, who are discussing a fourth coronavirus relief bill. More than 30 million Americans have filed for unemployment over the past 6 weeks, and April's jobs report due out Friday is expected to show an unemployment rate at over 16%, the highest level since 1939.
We're trying to work through this. I don't want to rule in or out anything right now. We are in discussions internally and with leading members of Congress.
Tonight, President Trump is addressing the state of the economy in a virtual town hall inside of the Lincoln Memorial. Fox News Channel is hosting. In New York, the hardest hit state, the total number of new cases and hospitalizations continues to fall, but state officials remain cautious. Police issued dozens of summonses to people who violated social distancing guidelines in New York City Park Saturday, and Sunday a caravan of ambulances carried the body of a 66-year-old paramedic from a funeral home on Staten Island to Newark Airport. Several weeks ago, Paul Carey drove an ambulance from his home in Colorado to volunteer in New York City. He succumbed to the virus and died on Thursday. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
The U.S. Senate plans to reopen tomorrow despite the Washington, D.C. area's continued status as a virus hotspot and the region still under stay-at-home orders. The House will stay shut. Supreme Court justices will begin to hear arguments Monday by telephone.
Hopefully we're able to get outside and enjoy some of that fresh air today. Lots of blue sky and sunshine out there, and it's turning into a really nice evening out there as well. Temperatures across the area already down into the 70s and 60s in many spots. We're 70 now in Columbus, 68 in Starkville. We're down to 74 in Tupelo. Just a few high clouds out there. And there have also been a few isolated sprinkles across the area. A lot of that not reaching the ground, but especially tonight along and north of I-22, you could see an isolated sprinkle, especially as we get into the early morning hours of your Monday. Otherwise, just a mix of a few clouds out there. Temperatures really staying in the 60s overnight tonight. And as you wake up tomorrow morning, temperature is going to quickly warm into the 80s once again. Better chances for some isolated showers and storms on Tuesday before we finally clear out. We've got to look at your full forecast coming up in just a little bit, Cash.
Well, Trevor, speaking of fresh air, if you're in need of some of that and some sunlight after staying in from quarantining, the Lake Lowndes State Park is in the process of opening back up. At the moment, the only activity open to the public is fishing. People can fish from a boat, on a dock, or on the marina, but still maintain a distance from each other. You can visit the Lake Lowndes State Park Facebook page to stay up to date on when more of the park will be opening. Like many seniors across the nation, those at Caledonia High School and their senior year, or had their senior year rather, cut short. The softball team at Caledonia also had their season shortened, but today members of the community came together to celebrate those seniors. Take a look at this. Members of the community of Caledonia held a drive-through parade to honor players. The parade took place today at 4:30. Seniors took pictures with family and friends and stood along Main Street as those community members came through in their cars to honor them.
It's been really hard. I'm a graduate from New Hope also, and so to know that my children won't get those special memories that we have, even though their school year is coming to an end, but their seasons are cut short, knowing that they're not going to be able to have that time that we had with our friends those last few years of our senior year, and to know that communities are coming together to support the seniors, it means a lot to both of our kids.
Before their season ended, the girls had a winning record of 6-2, according to Max Preps. For millions of high school and college graduates of the class of 2020, there were no ceremonies or celebrations due to the continued shutdown of the country. WCBI's Chad Groening reports on one Mississippi State graduate who was treated to a graduation experience she'll never forget. Take a look.
Katina O'Neill couldn't throw a traditional graduation party for her daughter Mariah, so she came up with the idea of a virtual social distancing drive-by, so friends could come by the home in Sotillo and get the chance to personally congratulate the business marketing major for completing her degree.
At first it was, a bit stressful and, discouraging to know that I wasn't going to be able to walk, but through it all, so much going on, I just kind of gained hope, and, there's people who are sick, who are doing whatever, and so I'm just kind of like being grateful that, I'm not one of those who are sick, so I took it in and I was like, it's okay. I just, thank God that I was able to graduate still.
At first, I didn't think it was going to last this long. I thought, well, we'll get through it a couple of weeks and we'll be on and she'll be able to graduate. She'll be able to march, have a traditional ceremony, but then things changed and she wasn't able to happen. It wasn't able to happen, and so she's had so much go on her last 4 years of college, and I just couldn't stand the fact of not doing some kind of celebration for her to honor her hard work.
Tupelo police officer and MSU alum Nathan Sheffield lives right next door to the O'Neills and helped organize the event.
It's been difficult for them. I'm sure they're not getting the same experience that my wife and I got with the big graduation at the Hump with family and friends like we got to in Starkville, which we consider to be God's country as state fans. But this is great. We got the family here, we got friends here, we got people coming by. We're going to be able to eat tonight and hang out and social distance and do what the government's telling us to do, but still in all that have a good time, so we're excited.
O'Neill hopes to begin a career in advertising or public relations, and she really wants to move to Houston, Texas.
I'm very confident, just putting my trust in God and letting Him, guide my path, and just, getting on LinkedIn, looking at different jobs, just making sure that I put myself out there so that others can see me.
And how confident is Mom?
I'm very confident. I know she will get the right job. She will get the right salary. Everything that she wants will just fall in place for her. I'm very confident in it.
economy's coming back. As soon as we get past this point, as long as we do what we're told to do, the economy's coming back. America's the greatest country in the world. Mariah's going to have a great opportunity to get a job of her dreams, just like I was able to do that, and it's going to be fantastic. She's going to go a long way. She's got a great support group. She's a wonderful person. She's got a beautiful personality. She's very intelligent, and any company that picks her up as a marketing agent would be lucky.
O'Neill's mom is confident that 2020 is going to be a year her daughter never forgets. Chad Groening, WCBI News, Saltillo.
Mariah says she and her fellow 2020 classmates will be able to take part in an official graduation ceremony in December. Now, once again, graduations everywhere have been delayed or canceled to prevent the possible spread of COVID-19, but a local high school has taken a new approach on honoring the graduating class of 2020. Our Savannah Gato has more on the story.
Well, it kind of stinks because, I've been pushed for 13 years to get good grades in school and get A's and B's or all A's so I could walk across the stage and get my diploma, and for my family, and not only for me but for my family, and not to have the opportunity just kind of it sucks.
Those are the thoughts and feelings of seniors all around the country. High school and college graduations have been postponed across the U.S. because of the coronavirus. And unfortunately, graduation isn't the only event that Stewart will be missing.
Well, I'm stroke choir at New Hope High, and I missed our last competition and our last performance for our school. We missed all that, and then senior trips we're missing out on because we're not able to have them because all the virus going around.
To honor the seniors of New Hope High, teacher Pam Wright decided to get signs made to bring a light on the class of 2020. Doing this means even more to Wright because of one special reason.
It gives me great pride and joy. I'm so excited. Every class is great, but of course this year is very special and dear to my heart because my son is a senior.
In a time full of ups and downs, Wright is staying positive.
Personally, it's given my family time to spend a lot of time together, but we were very sad at first because we didn't get to experience the norms of other graduating classes, but we just have to look at the bright side and we know that God has a plan for all of us.
Seniors don't have the opportunity to walk across the stage, but the town is still celebrating their accomplishments.
It shows that my town and New Hope is in support of all the seniors for us to get through this hard time, because they know we're all wanting to just go sit in our house and cry because we're not getting what we're supposed to get after trying so hard for 13 years.
I'm so proud of the class of 2020.
The signs are currently on display on the side of New Hope High School for everyone to see. After the break, Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson checks in with a brand new WeatherWise. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back, everyone. If you're anything like me, or more so Trevor Burchett, then you really hate having a bad hair day. But did you know that you can have a bad hair day even on a sunny day? Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson tackles wind in this week's WeatherWise.
It seems like we have had many windy days this season, some even when it's sunny without a storm in sight. You may have also noticed that these gusty days can begin and end with light wind. So why does this happen? Basically, it's because of the sun. It warms up the ground early in the morning, which in turn warms up the surrounding air. Invisible bubbles of air rise into the atmosphere. As they rise, different sets of bubbles will come on down to the ground, replacing the ones going on up. We call this mixing the atmosphere. Keep in mind, wind generally increases in speed as you travel up in the atmosphere. Now, as these downdrafts develop, as those bubbles of air come on down to the surface, we'll get stronger wind to come on down to the surface. That's what we notice as some gusty winds. Now, as the sun goes down late in the day, that mixing process stops. The stronger wind stays aloft in the atmosphere, and our wind down here at the surface goes light or goes calm. Thanks to Brian for that question over on Twitter. If you have a question for us, send it to us on social media or weather@WCBI.com, and we would love to answer your Weather Why.
WeatherWise is brought to you by 4-County Electric Power Association. WCBI First Alert AccuWeather Forecast with meteorologist Trevor Burchett.
Well, we've been fortunate enough to have a dry stretch for the last few days, but with a stationary front just to our north, that's going to be changing here. We're going to introduce some rain chances for the beginning of the week and then again at the end of the week as a more potent system moves through the area. Let me show you what's going on right now. This is the current setup. You see that stationary front just to our north. And you've heard me mention before, the storms like to pop up right along where that front is setting. So that's caused a lot of problems today in Tennessee. They had a pretty major wind event there, even a couple of tornado warnings just off to our north. Luckily, none of that here, but there were a few showers earlier today in Alcorn and Tishomingo counties. Now, as we go through the evening hours, that front's going to toddle just a little bit further to our south overnight tonight. That means some folks north of I-22 could certainly see an isolated sprinkle if you're out and about tonight, and as we go into tomorrow morning as well, that front is going to lift off to the north, but still through the day can't rule out an isolated shower or maybe even a rumble of thunder just north of I-22. But we're really looking forward to Tuesday. That's when the cold front's actually going to approach the area, and that's going to increase chances for some more isolated showers and storms across the entire area as we get into Tuesday afternoon. So this is a look at about 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and you see right along that cold front just a few isolated storms popping up. And again, we're only going to keep this at about a 30% chance of some rain. So not everybody going to see rain on Tuesday, but wherever that front decides to set up at, that's where we're going to watch for some isolated storms, potentially some gusty winds, maybe even a little bit of small hail in this. But it all moves out very quickly, and I think by the time we wake up on Wednesday, we're going to be dry and mostly sunny for at least Wednesday and Thursday. Speaking of mostly sunny, take a look at the time lapse from today. The Alpha Insurance Camera Network here in downtown Columbus. Looking off to the north, hard to find any clouds out there. A bright blue, beautiful sky and plenty of sunshine out there. Temperatures warming up into the mid-80s this afternoon. Right now, with the sun having set, temperatures falling down. We're 66 in Starkville, 71 right now in West Point, 68 in Winona, 73 in Oxford, and we're already down to 70 up in northern Lowndes County at the Air Force Base. Overnight tonight, I don't think temperatures fall much of anywhere. We're going to stay in the mid-60s for your lows, 64 in Columbus, 66 in Tupelo. Again, can't rule out an isolated sprinkle north of I-22. Most of us stay dry tonight, and most of us are going to stay dry tomorrow as well. Highs in the mid-80s with a mix of sun and clouds, a little bit more cloud covered than what we saw in the most recent couple of days. But again, if we see any isolated showers and storms tomorrow, it's going to be off to the north of Tupelo even, off to the north and east of I-22. There you might see a quick little downpour or some heavier rain in spots. Generally, most of us stay dry, especially in the Golden Triangle and in West Alabama, just a mix of sun and clouds with highs in the mid-80s. Again, we're going to turn our eyes to Friday after that. Wednesday and Thursday going to be dry. The system's going to approach, and that's going to bring us chances for more widespread showers and storms as we get into Friday. So again, tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, isolated sprinkle possible. Most of us stay dry. Same story for Tuesday. Can't rule out an isolated shower or storm. Wednesday, Thursday, dry. More chances for storms by Friday.
We're going to take a quick break, but steer clear of that remote. Driving tips for teens are coming up on today's Mom to Mom. Stay with us. Welcome back. Quarantine is the perfect time to take on a new hobby or learn a new skill. And those new skills can be anything from learning to cook, making crafts, and for some people, it's the perfect time to learn how to drive. Today on Mom to Mom, some tips for teens behind the wheel. Take a look.
Today on Mom to Mom, we're going to teach you how to teach your teen how to drive without losing your sanity. Tip number 1, pick an empty parking lot that has the least obstacles possible. That way they can practice their parking, they can back up, they can do all sorts of things to get ready for the main highway.
I'm just as worried about hitting things as much as you are.
Tip 2, practice often.
Like every day.
As parents, we are really tired after a long day of working, but we really just need to make time for our kids so they can get as much practice in as possible.
The sooner you teach me how to drive, the sooner I can drive myself.
Tip number 3, 2 or more teachers are better than 1. So if you have maybe a close friend that is willing to work with them, that would be perfect because then their stress level and yours is definitely a lot lower.
Trust me, I would love to learn with somebody else.
Tip number 4, try to keep those emotions in check.
You yelling at us does not help in the slightest.
If you're feeling stressed out, angry, or upset, it's going to do nothing but upset your child, and then it's dangerous for everyone involved.
The more nervous that you are, the more nervous I'm going to be.
Tip number 5, expect those oops moments to happen. I mean, they're just starting to learn how to drive, so they're not going to be perfect. Make sure you do a review when you're finished. Talk about the positives, the negatives, and remember, they're your kids and we love them. Moms, feel free to share your driving tips on our Facebook page, and we'll see you in the next Mom to Mom.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. COVID-19 has sharply altered our lifestyles, and doctors say focusing on your mental health is very important. In March, our Deandra Turner talked to one counselor, and now she's caught up with her again. Take a look.
Everyone that we are talking to, the COVID-19 and the pandemic is is at the forefront of their mind and the issues that they want to talk about.
It's almost been 2 months since the novel coronavirus has changed our lives. Uncertainty is one of the biggest challenges during this pandemic, with all of the struggles in regards to employment, finances, and the coronavirus itself, plus the stay-at-home order increasing isolation, is the perfect storm for mental struggles. Wendy Woods says this is the time especially to focus on the betterment of your mental health.
Mental Health Awareness Month is not just depression and anxiety education, not just about mental illnesses, but truly about personal and self-care.
As COVID-19 has spread and completely changed people's daily lives, changes in regulations are also making it easier for people to access that care. In March, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services relaxed the constraints to provide telehealth services.
Thankfully, the president did enact an order that says all therapists can provide telehealth services.
She hopes people continue to use these resources.
Even when this pandemic is over, or even when the executive orders for staying at home have been limited or have been eliminated at all, we will still be able to provide telehealth services.
As they continue to spread awareness about mental health now more than ever.
We're going to have more coming up after the break. Thank you for watching, and from all of us here at WCBI News, good night.